Hello guys, welcome to another video. This one is paper 2 of May-June 2006. This one is a requested paper. So with that being said, let's move on to the question number 1. So here we have to solve the equation 3x squared minus 4x minus 5 equal to 0, giving your answers correct to 2 decimal places. So whenever you see that, you know it will not be an exact value, so you have to solve this by using your equation. So x will be equal to minus b, which is 4, plus minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, and everything divided by 2a, which is 6. Now let's simplify. The first value will be 16 minus 4 times 3 times minus 5. That will be 76. So x has to be plus minus root of 76 divided by 6. So from this, x can be 4 plus root of 76 divided by 6. That will be 2.12. Or it can be 4 minus root of 76 divided by 6 minus 0.79. So these are the two values for x for part 1. Now remove the brackets and simplify. So expand this, you will have 9a squared minus, so 2 times 3, 6 times 4 is minus 24. AB, and that will be plus 16b squared. So this will be the expansion of the brackets. Now let's move on to part C, factorize completely. Let's see what do we have here. So if you observe here, we have 12 and 8. If you take out the value of 4, you will have 4. You will have 3 plus 2t. And for this 2, if you take out the value of, say, minus y, you will have 3 plus 2t. And now these two are the same. If you factorize this outside, you will have 3 plus 2t. And you will have 4 minus y remaining. So that will be your answer for this one. That is your question number 1. Now question number 2, we have a solid cuboid measures 7 by 5 by 3. This is the measurement of the cuboid. Now question, find the total surface area of the cuboid. So we know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 surface. So surface area will be 2 times the front surface will be 7 times 3 plus 2 times, so why 2? Because it is front and back, that's why 2. And 2 times, let's say this surface is 5 times 3 because it is the right and the left side. And then we have 2 times top and bottom, that will be 7 times 5. So let's see what we have. 2, 7 times 3 plus 2, 5 times 3 plus 2, 7 times 5. That will be 142. Of course, you have to write centimeter square. That is the first value. Now for part B, we have part 2. A cube has the same volume as the cuboid. Calculate the length of the cube. Now for a cube, you have to know what is a cube. A cube is something of this shape, for example, right? But every side has to be the same length. So that's x, x, and x. That is a cuboid, a cube, sorry. Now we have to find the value of x given that this volume is the same as this volume. So how do you find volume of this? You will say volume will be length times width times height. That will be x cubed. And what is the volume of this one? Same steps. 7 times 5 times 3. That should be 105. So we have to equate those two. Basically, we have to say this is equal to 105 according to the question. So find the value of x. That will be cube root of answer. That will be 4.723 SF. That will be the length of an edge of this cube. Okay, so that will be centimeter, of course. So you can definitely recheck what is the volume of this cuboid. 7 times 5 times 3, 105, and cubic root of that will be this value. That will be part A. Now for part B, the volume of a cone is given by this area. and the area of the curved surface is given by this area, by this formula, sorry. Now part 1, a cone has a base radius of 8 and the height of 15, okay? Now first one, find its volume. According to the formula, volume has to be 1/3 times the base area. It is a circle with radius r, which is 8, so pi r square, 8 square, and height is given by 15. So let's see, what do we have? 1/3 times 64 pi times 15 times. That will be, if you want to find the exact value, we can write down, for example, 1, 5, so 5 times 64, that will be 320 pi. But if you want to find decimal, that will be 3SF 1010 centimeter cube for 3SF. Now let's move on to part 2. Find the value of the slant height. Now if you observe, this one is a right angle triangle. How do you find the height? By using your Pythagoras theorem. So you'll have L square is equal to 15 square plus 8 square. So 15 square plus 8 square have to give you L square is 289. So from this, L has to be square root of the value will be 17. So this will be 17 centimeters. Now for part 3, find its curved surface area. Using the formula you have been given, it is pi, r is 8, L is 17. So 17 times 8 times pi. That will be 427, correct to 3SF. Sorry, square. Now finally, find the total surface area. It is the curved surface area, and then plus the base area, which is pi r square is given by 8 square. So 8 square pi times, plus 427. That will be 628 centimeter square. Okay, so that will be your question number 2. Let's move on to question number 3. In the diagram, the points A, B, C, D lie on the circle. Okay. Now we have those two angles given to you. DOB is 124 and CDO is 36. CDO. Now part 1 is to calculate DCB. DCB. How do you find this value? So let's see. So here we have to use a theory, because we know that the angle at center is always twice the angle at circumference, which means this one will be half this one. So that will be 124 divided by 2. That will be 62. Now what next? We have to find DAB. DAB. So how would you find this one? So if you observe here, we have A, B, C, D. It is a quadrilateral on the circle. Something we have to know is that, so if you have something like this, right? These two has to be supplementary angles, okay? So which means that 62 plus angle A have to give you 180. From this, you know that A has to be 180 minus 62, that will be 118. So angle A will be 118 degrees. Now next part is we have to find ODB. So ODB, O, D, and B. So we have to find this one. So here you have to observe that OB and OD, they are both radius of the circle, which means those two angles have to be the same. So 180 minus 124 divided by 2, that will be 28. Now finally, we have to find CBO. CBO is what? Let's check. So CBO, what is this angle? So how can you find this one? Let's observe, because we know this is 28. We know this is also 28. And we know this is 62. So as you can see, we know the triangle. If you take this out, you have triangle D, B, C. You know this angle here, you know this one, and you have to find this one. This is what value? 36 plus 28, that will be 64. And this one is 62. So what is this one? That will be 180 minus 64 minus 62. That will be 54. Now this whole thing here is 54. This one will be 54 minus 28. That will be 26. So CBO will be 26. And that will be part A. Now part B, we have a circle again, center O, with a sector POQ shaded. So in the main question, it will be shaded. Now, we have the angle POQ is 140, and the radius of the circle is 8. This is 8. Now, part 1, we have to find the area of the shaded region. Okay? And then part 3, we have to find the total perimeter of the unshaded region. So pretty easy, one by one. So how would you find the area of the region? So I have to know first, just to confirm which region is shaded. Just give me one moment, I will confirm which of these two is the region that is shaded. Okay, so according to the question, this part is shaded. Okay. And let's see, how do we find the area? So pretty easy. It is just the area of a sector. So let's do that. One, that will be half. No, that will be advanced. So let's use our formula that we know. That will be 140 degrees over 360 degrees times pi r square. R square is 8 square. Okay, so simplify. 140 divided by 360 times 64 pi. That will be 78.2 centimeters square for the area. Now for part 2, we have to find the total perimeter of the unshaded region. It is this one, and this one. So find the arc length of PQ. That will be found by using the angle here. That is 360 minus 140. That will be 220. That will be 220 divided by 360. Sorry, times 2 pi r. R is 8. So 220 divided by 360 times 2 pi. 220 divided by 360 times 16 pi. That will be 30.7. Okay, so if this one is 30.7, we have to add those two. So plus 8 plus 8. That will be 46.7 centimeters for the perimeter of the unshaded region. And that is your question number 3. Let's move on to question number 4. These are the prices for a ride in an amusement park. Okay, so we have the adult price and the child price. Now, a family of 2 adults and 3 children went on the ride. So we know we have 2 adults and 3 children. And they paid with a note of $20. Calculate the change they receive. So first we have to find the costs. So 2 times 360 plus 3 times 225. That is the cost. So 2 times 3.6 plus 3 times 3.25. That will be 13.95. And the change will be 20 minus 13.95. That will be 6.05 for the change. Now for part 2, express 2.25 as a percentage of this. So 2.25 divided by 3.60 times 100. So 2.25 divided by 3.60 times 100. That will be 62.5%. Now for part B, we have the diagram 1 represents the part of a framework of a ride. Okay, the points A, B, C, D, E, F are on the framework. Okay, now the points H, C, G, E, F lie on the horizontal plane. This is the plane, this one is the framework. Now last one, we have the line BH and DG are vertical line. Okay, and we have this length given to us. Question number 1, we have to find HCB. So HCB. So how do you find this angle? If you observe, we can find this simply by using SOHCAHTOA because it is a right angle triangle. And now we know this side and we know this side. This is your A side and this is your H side. So we have to use cos. So cos, let's call this angle theta. Cos of theta will be your A side, 60 over 80. From this, theta will be cos inverse of 60 over 80. So we have to use degrees, and that will give you 41.4 degrees. This is your answer for part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find CD. CD is this one. As you can see, we have triangle CGD is a right angle triangle. Now we have to find CD by using the again by using SOHCAHTOA. So here we have the opposite side, O side, and we're trying to find the H side. You have to use sine. So we have to use sine of the angle is 32 is the opposite side over the H side, which is CD. So CD is 40 divided by sine of 32. So 40 divided by sine of 32, that will be 75.5. That is your length of CD, 75.5 centimeters, correct to 3SF. Now part 3, we have to find the angle of depression of E from D. So angle of depression of E from D, so we have to find this angle. But this angle is the same as this angle, so we can find this angle. Let's call this one alpha. Again, we have to use SOHCAHTOA. We know these two sides. This is your A side, this is your O side. You have to use tan. So tan of the angle alpha is supposed to give you 40 over 35. So alpha will be tan inverse of 40 over 35. That will be 48.8. Okay, this will be your value for alpha, which is the angle of depression as well. Okay, so that will be your question number 4. Let's move on to question. So I think this is part B. We also have part C. So let's move on to part C now. So part C, we have the diagram shows part of the ride. Okay, and the carriage that carried the family was 4.6 meters long. This is the carriage, and the length was 4.6 meters. Now, it was traveling at a constant speed of 15 meters per second as it passed the point F. Okay. Now, part 1, calculate correct to the nearest hundredth of a second. So, hundredth is 1 over 100. That is what? If you convert, that will be 0.01. Right. The time taken for the carriage to pass the point F. So how would you find that value? So let's see what we need to know. We know that the length of the carriage is this. Okay. So basically what it means is that our F is here, the point F. As our carriage was passing the point F, this is 4.6 meters long. So at the time when it first touches the point F, the speed was given by 15 meters per second. Now for it to pass this point F, it will have to travel 4.6. So we want to find the time taken. Now we have to look at our equation that we know so well. Speed is equal to distance divided by time. And if you want to find time, it will be distance divided by speed. Distance was 4.6 divided by speed is 15. So let's do that. 4.6 divided by 15, that will be 23/75 seconds. Now, of course, let's write down in decimal place. It will help us. It will be, let me write this down. The time taken was 0.306666 going on. Now, since you have to give your answer correct to the nearest hundredth, which is this value here after 2 decimal place, so 1, 2. So we need to stop right here. So your value will be what? Time taken will be 0.3. Since this number is more than 5, it will become 1. Then that is your answer for part 1. So basically, speed is 15, distance traveled will be 4.6, and using your formula, you'll find the time taken, and then using that value, you have to give your answer correct to the hundredth of a second, which is 0.01 second. So 2 decimal place will be this value. Now, part 2, express this as kilometers per hour. So usually we can just use a formula directly, but you can always do step by step. So we know 15 meters per second, it means that you have 1 second, you travel 15 meters. This is for you. If you don't know the formula, you can always do step by step. So now in 1 hour, how many seconds do we have? So we know that 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. So that will be 15 times this much. That will be meters. This is 1 hour. And convert this to km, you have to divide by 1,000. Why? Because 1 km is equal to 1,000 meters. So now it is km per hour. So let's convert 15 times 3, this one, and divide by 1,000. Your answer will be 57.6 km per hour. So in this question, we did this step by step, so you know what to do in any condition. You don't need to remember your formula. You can always break it down. Now for part 5, we have a sequence question. So let's see what we have here. So counters are used to make patterns as shown above. So we have 1, 2, 3. So here we have 6, here we have 10, and here we have 14. Okay, this is pattern 1, 2, and 3. Now pattern 1 contains 6, okay, 6. The number of counters needed to make each pattern form a sequence, okay. Now part 1, write down the first 4 terms of this sequence. So pretty easy. As you can see, every time it is increasing by 4, so next time will be 18. So you will have 6, 10, 14, and 18. Now for part B, the number of counters needed to make pattern N is given by this formula. Find the value of A. So first thing I would say, let's not look at this one. Let's just solve this as a normal sequence you would solve. Okay? So term 1, term 2, term 3, you have 6, 10, and 14. You know the common difference is plus 4 and 4. So the first thing you will write is 4n. Okay? And now you will see that first, so when I will ask you, what is the first term of the sequence according to this? You would say 4 times 1 for the first term, it is 4. But 4 is not 6. We know 6 is the real answer. How can you make 4 become 6? You have to plus 2, right? So you plus 2 here as well. So basically, we have realized that the nth term is equal to this formula. Compare with this, A has to be the value of 4. Okay? Now part C, Mary has 500 counters, that is the total number of counters. She uses as many of these counters as possible to make one pattern. So this is M, find the value of M. So she uses as many as possible. So basically, we want to find the M term. So for now we have 4m plus 2 has to be less or equal to 500 for the number of counters, because the total number can only be maximum until 500. Let's solve. M will be equal to what value? Minus 2 divided by 4. That will be 124.5. So M is a term. It cannot be 0.5. So the value previous to that value, M have to be 124. M will be 124 term. Now how many counters are not used? So pretty easy. Replace back in your formula. So T of 124, it will be 498 counters were used. So we had 500 minus 498. So 2 was not used. This is your answer for part 2. This is your question number 5. Let's move on to question number 6. So here we have what? The results of a survey of 31 students are shown in the Venn diagram. So part 1, we have students question in the survey, everything together, right? M is math, P is physics, S is Spanish. Now part 1, we have to write down the value of X. So something that we know is that everyone together will be 31. So we can write down the equation. We know that 16 plus 4 plus X plus 2 plus 1 is supposed to give you 31. So X will be what value? So 31 minus 1 minus 2 minus 4 minus 6. That will be 18. X will be the value of 18. Now part B, we have to find the number of elements between M intersecting P. So as you can see, it will be 4, right? Between those two. Now M union S, so M, everything in M, union S, the number of elements is 16 plus 4, 20 plus 1 is 21. Now P prime outside of P is what? Number of elements will be, P is this one, outside will be 16, 2 and 1. So that will be 19. Okay. Now part 2, write down a description in words of the set that has 16 members. So 16 members, as you can see, it is this one. So in words, what does it mean? It is the students who studies only math and not physics, right? Who study only math but not physics. Okay, so that is for part A. Now for part B, we have in the diagram the triangle AQR is similar to triangle ABC. So we know already these two are similar. AQR and ABC are similar. Now part 1, AQ is 8, so AQ is 8, QB is 6, this one, and AR is 10. This one is 10. So what is this one? AB will be 14. Right. Now for part 1, we have to find the length of RC. RC will be what length? So to find RC, you will first have to find AC. Right. So let's use similarity to find that length. So what we know that the big one is ABC. So I will take 14 over the ratio of the small one. Let's do that. So small one is 8 for the corresponding side, right? It is equal to the big one is AC that we don't know, should be over 10. So from this, you can see AC has to be 14 divided by 8 times 10, that will be 17.5. So this whole thing is 17.5, which means this one has to be 7.5, right? That will be 7.5. Now for part 2, given that the area of triangle AQR, this one, is given by this, calculate the area of triangle ABC. So we have to use similarity again. So let's take the corresponding side. Let's take one of the sides, AQ and AB. AQ is 8, AB is 14. Let's simplify. Divide by 2, you will have 4. and 7. That is the ratio of their side, right? But what is the ratio of the area? We have to square, because side is centimeter, area is centimeter square. So how do you change that to square? You have to square these two sides. That will become 16 and that will become 49. So now you know the area of AQR is 32. We have to find this one. So we just use ratio to find that. We know that 16 is equal to 32. So x will be equal to, sorry, 40. So x is 49, true. So x is 49 will equal to what? It is equal to 32 divided by 16 times 49. So 32 divided by 16 times 49. That will be 98. So area of triangle ABC will be 98 centimeters square. So just by ratio. So 32 is 16 is 32, 49 will be 98. Okay. If you observe, you just times 2 as well. That's why you have 98. Now this is your question number 6. Okay, so let's move on to question number 7. So this is section B. You only have to answer 4 questions in this section in the exam situations. But right now we are of course going to be doing all the questions. Let's see what happens. So James and Dan are partners in a small business company. From each year's profit, James is paid a bonus of $15,000. So it is only from the profit. Okay. Now the remainder is shared between James and Dan. So remainder is shared in James and Dan in the ratio of 2 to 3. Now part A. In 1996, the profit was $20,000. Show that Dan's share was this much. So pretty easy. Because we know from 20,000, we first have to give James 15,000 because that is his share. You'll have 5,000. Now from the remainder 5,000, we have to distribute between James and Dan in the ratio of 2 to 3. So everything together will be 5. So it means 5 is 5,000, which means 3 is the share of Dan. Dan will be 5,000 divided by 5 times 3. That will be 3,000. This is shown as required. Part A. Now part B, we have in 1997, the profit was 21,800. Calculate first one, the percentage increase in profit compared to this. So pretty easy. Percentage increase is equal to the increase first, it is 1800, divided by the initial profit, 20,000, times 100. So 1800 divided by 20,000 times 100. That will be 9%. Now for part 2, we have to calculate what? The total amount, including his bonus, that James received in this year. So pretty easy again. The bonus will be 15,000. You know that already. And what is the remainder that he receives? So that will be 21,800 minus 15,000. That will be 16,800 from the remainder. Sorry, only 6,000, not 16. That is the remainder amount, which will be shared between James and Dan. So Dan will take 3 and James will take 2. So 6800 divided by 5 times 2 for James will be 2720. So amount will be this plus this. That will be 17,720. So that will be the amount that James received in 1997. Now part C, we have Dan receive 7,500 in 1998. Calculate the profit of this year. So let's do some reverse engineering. We know that Dan only touches 3 for the shares. So we know remainder has to be 5, as you can see here. 5 will be 7,500 divided by 3 times 5. That will be 12. That will be the remainder, right? After Dan takes his profit. So the profit has to be this plus 15,000, because James always first take 15,000. That will be 27,500. Now for part D, we have in 1999, the profit was X, where X equal to is more than 15,000. Some number, we don't know, but we know it is more than 15,000. Now we have to write down an expression in terms of X for the amount Dan received. So let's think. So X will be what? So first you will do X minus 15,000. And then this will be the remainder. You will do divide by 5, because in total we have 5 shares to share with, because if you remember, the ratio the share is 2 to 3. Together is 5. So you have to find out what is the value of one share, divided by 5, and times Dan received 3, so times 3. So that will be your equation, which is 3x over 5 minus 15,000 times 3 divided by 5, 9,000. That is the formula for the amount that Dan receives in the year. Now, given that Dan received half the profit, write down an equation in X and hence find the amount that Dan's received. So let's see. So right now for this is part 1. Now part 2, we know that Dan received half the profit. The profit is equal to X, and according to the second part, we know that Dan received half the profit was X divided by 2. So now we have the same equations, D and D, we can solve simultaneously. So on one side you will have 3x over 2 minus this is equal to x over 2. Now multiply by 2 everywhere to eliminate the base. You will have 3x minus 18,000 equal to x. That will be 2x is equal to 18,000. So here what will happen? Let me check. So x is equal to, so it doesn't seem to be normal here. Oh, I see. So here you go. This is 5, not 2, 5. So you see, I made a mistake again. So this will become 6 over 5 minus this equal to this. So let's simplify. So you will have, let's send x over here, you will have 6, this, 5 minus x is equal to 18,000. That will become, this is 1 of course, so you can simplify this too. It will become 1 over 5x is equal to 18,000. X will be 18,000 multiplied by 5. That will be 90,000. So that your profit was $90,000. That's the value of x. Okay, so but the question is, I'm not asking you for that. The question is asking you what is the amount that Dan received. So D will be 90,000 divided by 2, which is 45,000. And that is your answer for part 2 of this question. Number 7. Let's move on to question number 8. So answer the whole of this question on a sheet of graph paper. So usually for papers back in 2007, you used to get a graph paper to help you answer your question, but nowadays you don't get that anymore, but it's the same concept you have to use to answer those questions. So the table below gives some values of x and the corresponding values of y for this equation. Okay, now part 1, find the value of p. Pretty easy. According to the equation, p is the value of y when x equal to 6. Replace 6 squared over 8 plus 18 over 6 minus 5. That will be 2.5. So p will be 2.5. Now for part B, using a scale of 2 centimeters to 1 unit, draw a horizontal axis from 0 to 8. So I was able to only find one graph paper. Let's see what can we do with this one. So we have to draw the horizontal axis from 0 to 8 and 2 units to represent 1 centimeter. So let's try. So usually there should be a 0 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should be one more 8, but let me try to see what I can do. Let me start here. Let's make this become 0. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 should be passing this point. Should be this point. Sorry, this is not 8, this is 8. So I apologize, that was the only graph paper that I had. So that will be 8 on the outside. This will be your x-axis. 2 units will be 1. So 2 centimeters will be 1 unit. This is not here. Now let's move on to the other part. It is asking you to draw scale of 1 centimeters for 1 unit on the vertical from 0 to 14. So pretty easy. Going back to here. This one is pretty simple. Okay, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And this is your y-axis. Okay, so that will be your scale. So this is the x-axis and that will be your y-axis. Now let's see what can we do for this one. We have to plot the graph, right? Plot the points and join them with a smooth curve. So the first point we have is, it shows to be 1 and 13.1. So 1, 13.1, this is 1 here. 13.1 should be this one. And the next one will be 1.5, 7.3. So 1.5, 7.3. Then we have 2, 4.5. Then we have 2.53. Then we have 3 will be 2.1. And then we have 4 will be 1.5. We have 5 will be 1.7. This is 1.5. So this is 1.5. 1.2, 6, 7 will be right here. And we have, should be 5, not 4.5. 5, 1.5 is here. This one is a mistake. This one is the point. Then we have 6 will be 2.5. 6, 2.5 will be this one. And then we have 7, 3.7. 7, 3 is here. 0.7 should be right here. And 8 will be 5.3. 8 will be outside. 5.3. So 5.3 will be the value here. Somewhere about this point. Okay, so that will be my points, and I will have to join them by a smooth curve. So try your best. This will be okay. So this will be my curve, and you have to label this curve as y equal to x squared over 8 plus 18 over x minus 5. So that will be your curve obtained by a smooth curve. Now moving on to part C, we have to use your graph to find the value of x when y equal to 8. So let's do that. When y equal to 8, let's find the corresponding value of x. So of course you have to show how you find your answers, because this is how they are going to mark you. So show that. You will have 1.4. That will be the value of x. That will be 1.4, which is this one. Now let's see what else we need to find. So we need to find the least value of this for the value of x between this range. Now you have to observe, what is this? So if you go back to your equation, this is this. If you make this become subject of formula, it is equal to y plus 5. Okay, so basically what happened was I had to plus 5 to eliminate this value. So here, the least value, use a graph to find the least value of this for the values of x between 0 and 8. So 0 and 8 is this one. For the whole graph, we have to plus 5 to this minimum value. So at first it was here, you plus 5, you will go up. So according to my graph, this is my minimum value here, which is 1.4, I think. Yeah, according to this one. But now this is my graph, which is this one. I have to eliminate this by adding 5, so you have to increase by 5 units. Going up by 5, you will have 5 plus this, that will be 6.4. According to my graph, that will be 6.4. Okay, now let's see what else we need to find. So by drawing a tangent, find the gradient of the curve at the point x equal to 2.5. So 2.5 will be here. We have to draw a tangent at this point. So tangent is a line that touches the curve at this point. So it will be about right here. So basically you have to find a point on this side. I will choose this one, which is 0, 9. And then this one will be what? This one will be 3.70. So you have 2 points to help you find the gradient. So let's use our equation now. So that will be, we have 2 points, 0, 9 and 3.70. So gradient will be 0 minus 9 divided by 3.7 minus 0. Minus 9 divided by 3.7, that will be minus 2.43. That will be your answer, correct to 3SF. Now for part E, on the axis below, draw the graph of this. This is a straight line. If x equal to 0, y will be 12. And if y equal to 0, x is also 12. But it's not possible because x is only 8 on our graph. Let's use something else. So let's say if y equal to 4, let's just use 6. X will be 6. So we have 2 points, 0, 12 and 6, 6. 0, 12 will be this one. And then we have 6, 6, 6. 6 will be right here. So these two will meet at this point. Now we have to continue until it intersects our curve at the 2 points. Now you can see it cuts our curve at this point. Let's mark down the value here. And at this point will be this value. Okay, so it says to find the, so to first draw this. Okay, and then it says the x-coordinate of the points where the two graphs intersect are solution to this equation. Find the values of a and b. So you have to know something. Let's just not look at this. Don't look at this. One thing you know is that how do you find solutions when two graphs meet? You find your point of intersection. So you know the equation is y equal to x squared over 8 plus 18 over x minus 5. And the line is y equal to 12 minus x. Now from this, we can solve simultaneous equation. So you will have 12 minus x is equal to x squared over 8 plus 18 over x minus 5. So now if you want to first eliminate the value of x, multiply by x everywhere to eliminate this one. So you will have 12x minus x squared is equal to x cubed over 8 plus 18 minus 5x. Now if you want to eliminate the 8, multiply by 8 everywhere, you will have 12 times 8. That will be 96x minus 8x squared is equal to x cubed over 8 going away, right? It goes away. And plus 18 times 8, that will give you 144 minus 40x. So now we can simplify. Let's make everything go to one side. You will have x cubed. So this minus 40 minus 90, so minus 40 minus 96, that will be minus 136x. Here we have plus 8x squared plus 144. So let's rewrite this here. So basically, finally, you will have an equation in this form by solving these two simultaneously. Square minus 136x plus 144. So now you just have to compare those two to find the values of a and b. So by looking at this, you know this is the same thing, plus ax squared plus bx plus 144. So these two are the same equations. Compare. B has to be this value, a has to be this value. A will be 8 and b will be minus 136. That will be the two values of a and b. And that will be your question number 8. That's everything. So this is question number 8. So in the diagram, we have a and b are 2 points, okay, on a straight coastline, as you can see here, a and b, okay. Now the b is due east of a and AB is 7 km. Good. The position of a boat at different times was noted, okay. That is just some information. Now part A, at 8 a.m. the boat was at sea, okay, where ACB is 66 and ABC was 48. Now part 1, calculate the bearing of B from C. So to find the bearing, you first have to draw the north line, okay, and you have to understand what angle are you trying to find. So the bearing of B from C will be this one. So you want to find this angle. Now it will also help you if you were to continue this line here, for example, and to also draw this line here. It will help you to understand what are you trying to look for. This one is 90. So this angle here is going to equal the same angle here. So the bearing of this will be 48 plus 90. That will be 138 degrees. Now distance AC will be this one. How would you find this? So we have a triangle, you know two angles, you know this side, you can use your sine rules, okay. You will have 7 over sine of 66 is equal to AC over sine of 48. So now we have to find the value of AC. That will be given by 7, 4, so we have 7 sine of 48, cross multiply, right, and then divide by sine of 66. That will be 5.69, correct to 3SF. That will be your answer for part 2. It is km. Now for part B, we have at 9 a.m. the boat was at position D, okay, where the distance AD was 6.3 km and DAB was 41. Now part 1, calculate the area of triangle ADB. So pretty easy. Because we have a triangle and we have these two sides and the angle in between, the area can be found by using your formula, which is half sine of the angle and times the two sides, which is 6.3 and 7. Half sine of 41 times 6.3 times 7. That will be 14.5 km square. Now part 2 is to find the shortest distance from the boat to the coastline. So now whenever they ask you for the shortest distance, you have to understand they're asking you for the perpendicular distance. This is what they're asking you for, okay. So this is 90 degrees and you have to find, let's call this one x. How can you find this value? If you observe, we have triangle A and this point in D is a right angle triangle. You can find them by using SOHCAHTOA. So we know this side and we're trying to find this side. This is your hypotenuse. We're trying to find the opposite side, we have to use sine. So sine of the angle 41 is equal to the opposite side over hypotenuse, which means x have to be 6.3 times sine of 41. That will be 4.133. This will be the size of x. Okay. Now for part C, we have at 11 a.m. the boat was at point E. That's the position of the boat. Now where A is 9 and B E is 5. Good. Now we have to find the bearing, calculate the bearing of E. So whenever you see calculate, it means that you have to somewhat do some calculation of E from A. So E from A, we have to first draw the north line and find out what angle are we looking for. We're looking for this angle. But you observe that this is not direct because we don't know any angles yet. To find this, we can first find this one. Let's call it alpha. Because we know that this is going to be 90, so if you find this, you can take 90 minus this, you will have this angle. So let's first find this one. So how would you find this angle? You have to use cosine rule because you know all the three sides of the triangle. So cosine of alpha is 9 square plus 7 square minus 5 square divided by 2 times 9 times 7. So 9 square plus 7 square minus 5 square divided by 2 times 9 times 7. That will be 0.833. Alpha will be cos inverse. That will be 33.6. So from this you will have 90 minus 33.6. That will be 56.4 degrees for the bearing. And that will be your question number C. It's question number 9. Let's see what we have else. We have question number 10. So the length of 120 leaves were measured. The cumulative frequency graph shows the distribution of their length. Okay, so we know in total we have 120 leaves. Okay, that is good to know. Now, use the graph to estimate. First one is the median. So to find the median is the half is the middle value. So half times the total number, that will be 60th element. So go to your graph, go to your 60th element, and draw a horizontal line. So this will give you this value. So this will be what? 31, 31.5, 36, 37, 38. So, no, sorry, I meant 31.8, not 38. 31.8 will be the median. That will be in terms of centimeters. Now for part 2, we have to find the interquartile range, which is upper quartile minus lower quartile. So let's first find the upper quartile. Upper quartile will be Q3 is equal to 3 over 4 times 120, which is your number of leaves. That will give you 13090th element. And Q1 is simply 1/4 times 120, which is your 30th element. So when doing these kind of questions, you always have to show your work. So Q1 will be the 30th element. It should be somewhere around here. And this will be this value. This will be what? Let's check. So that will be 31.5. That will be 0.6.65. So lower quartile will be 31.65. Now what is the 90th value? So go back to your graph. 90th will be between 80 and 100. So according to the graph, it should be this value. That will be 32.1. 32.1. So we have to minus. So here we have 32.1 minus 31.65. That will be 0.45 centimeters. And that is your answer for part 2. Now for part 3, we have to find the number of leaf whose length is more than 31.5. So basically first go to the length of 31.5. That will be right here. We have to draw this line here and then draw the corresponding to find the value on the y-axis. So now you have to know what is the meaning. So basically the length below the the number of leaves below this length of 31.5 is equal to this one, which is, this is 20, this is 4, 8, so basically increasing by 12, that will be 12, 16, 20, so this is 12. The number of leaves which has length 31.5 or below is 12, but our question is asking for number of leaves which is more than this, so it has to be the length above, which is 120 minus 12. So 120 minus 12, that will be 108. Let's double check. Yep, 108 leaves. That is for part 3. Now for part 4, let's see, for part B, sorry, each member of a group of 16 children solve a puzzle. Okay, now we have to do something here. The times they took is summarized in the table below. Okay, part 1, we have to write down an estimate for the number of children who took less than 30 minutes. So let's see. So this is less than 10, we know there's 2, less than 12, so between those two is this, and 13 will be somewhere between those two. So right now we know for sure that we have 6 who took less than 12, but less than 13, it is between those two. So now what you have to do is to find the class width for those two. 14 minus 12, you know it is 2 for the class width. 2 represents 6 for the frequency. Now from 12 to go to 13, there's only 1, so 1 will be 3. So we assume that 12 to 13, it is the value 3, so 6 plus 3 will be number 9. So we assume that the estimate number of children who took less than 13 minutes will be 9, based on this calculation. Now for part 2, calculate the estimate for the mean time taken to solve this puzzle. Now to find the mean time, you first have to find the midpoint of each group. This will be 7.5. So how do you find this? You take this plus this, divide by 2. Same things, that will be this plus this, divide by 2. Let's try. 10 point plus 12, divide by 2, that will be 11. So this one, same thing, that should be 13. Same thing, that should be 15. And this should be, so let's try, 16 plus 20 divided by 2, that will be 18. This is the midpoints of each of the groups. Now this is, let's call this one X, this is F for frequency. Now to find the mean time, you have to find the sum of Fx divided by the total number of people, it is 16. So first you have to find Fx, you have to add everything together. So 2 is F, 7.5 plus 4 times 11 plus 6 times 13 plus 3 times 15 plus 1 times 18. That will be 200 divided by 16. That will be 12.5. Your answer is 12.5 for the estimation. That's the time in terms of minutes. So you can write down minutes. Okay, that will be the estimate for the mean time. Now for part 3, we have 2 children are chosen at random. Calculate as a fraction in its simplest form the probability that one of these children took more than 10 minutes and the other took 10 minutes or less. So let's find out who is who. So let's see. So now, whenever you see, let me do one thing first. Let me see how many children took more than 10 minutes. According to the table here, more than 10, it is 4, this. So more than 10, let me write this down. More than 10, it is 4 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1. it is 14. And less or equal to 10, it is clearly 2. Now if you choose, if one will take more than 10, that will be 14 over number of people is 16, and the other will be 2 over 15, because you will take 1 away already without replacement. Now you have to multiply by 2, because here you have C. Whenever you see a 1 and the other, multiply by 2 always. Whenever you do this, multiply by 2. There's a reason for that. I will explain it to you. Is because the reason is the two children are not the same kind of children, if that makes sense. So let me explain. So I can call the first one David and the other one is called Mary. Now I can first choose Mary, or I can first choose David. For example, in the first scenario, I can choose David first. David will be the one which is 14 over 16 times Mary is 2 over 15. That is my one possibility of answer. But now I would say, okay, let's say I choose Mary first. Mary will be 2 over 16 times 14 over 15. So that will be why you have two cases for the answer, one or the other. That's why you have to multiply by 2. For this one, you will get 7 over 60 as a fraction. Now, for part 4, we have a histogram is drawn to illustrate this information. Okay, the height of the rectangle representing the number of children in the interval 10 to 12 is 8 centimeters. Okay, 8, so 10 to 12, this one. So this is 8 centimeters. Now, calculate the height of the rectangle representing the number of children in the interval 5 to 10. So pretty easy. How do you draw a histogram? So whenever you have to draw a histogram, you have to first find the frequency density. For example, right? Now to find the frequency density, you take the class width, you divide by the, you take the frequency, divide by the class width. So the class width of this interval is 2, and the class width of this is 5, right? Now we are telling you that the height is given by 8. 8 is equal to frequency density in this case. For example, that will be 8 is equal to frequency over, so frequency is given by 4 over class width. Class width is 2, the ratio of 2. So 2 represents 8 centimeters, right? In that case, for the first one. Now using the same ratio for this one, to find the frequency density, you have to take the frequency, divide by class width. That will be 0.4. Now using those two ratios, we compare. We know 2 is equal to 8, right? So 0.4 is equal to what? You will say it is 8 divided by 2 times 0.4. That will be 1.6 centimeters for the height of the histogram. So basically, we are just trying to find the frequency density, and from doing that, you have two ratios you can compare. First, for this one, you realize that the ratio that we have is 2. This is the FD for the interval, this one. It is equal to 8 centimeters, but the FD for this one is equal to 0.4. So by using that ratio, 2 is equal to 8, 0.4 has to equal to 1.6. This is your value for that. And I believe that is your question number 10. Now let's move on to question number 11. So part A, we have what? We have a matrix A. Part B, so we have B and C as well. So part 1, we have to find 4C minus 2A. So pretty easy, this one. So 4C, first bring the value of 4, that will become minus 4, 0, 0, 4. Minus 2A, bring the value 2 inside, you will have 2, minus 6, 6, minus 4. That will be minus 4, minus 2, minus 6. Minus 4, minus 6, that will be 2. 0 minus 6 will be minus 6, that will be 8. That will be your answer for this one. And part 2, we have, given that B is equal to A inverse, find the value of P. So let's first find A inverse to see how do we find that. So basically, A inverse will be what? So you first have to find the determinant of A, cross multiply 1 times minus 2 minus 3 times 3. That will be minus 2 plus 9, that will be 7. Adjoint matrix of A is equal to, so minus 2 goes up, 1 goes down, this will be minus 3 and 3. So A inverse will have to equal to 1 over 7 is times this, 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 and this. Now we say this is the same as B. B is minus 2, 3, minus 3, 1, if you take out the value of P. So if you compare, P has to equal to 1 over 7. That is your value of P. Now part 3 we have, find the 2 by 2 matrix X, where AX is equal to C. So let's do this here. So part 3, we know that AX is a 2 by 2 matrix, sorry, X is a 2 by 2 matrix. We have to find this. So A is given to you by 1, 3, minus 3, minus 2, times X is equal to C is minus 1, 0, 0, 1. Now how do you eliminate A? If you observe, you have to pre-multiply by A inverse of A inverse on both sides. So this one will be going away. X is equal to A inverse, which is 1 over 7, times minus 2, minus 3, 3, 1, times C, which is minus 1, 0, 0, 1. Let's keep this one outside and let's simplify those two. So minus 2 times minus 1, that will be, sorry, minus 2 times minus 1 is 2. And we have this one will be 0, so this again, that will be 3. And rows by column, that will be 3. Rows by column, that will be 1. So finally, that your matrix X is equal to this, or you can write 2 over 7, 3 over 7, 3 over 7, and 1 over 7. That is your matrix X. Now, let's move on to the other parts we have now. We have to find the matrix C represents a single transformation T. Now, describe fully the transformation T. So let's see what happened to C. We know C is given to us by minus 1, 0, 0, 1. So usually, how do we get a transformation matrix? You have to look at the axes. For example, we'll look at our axis. We'll look at our first value, which is 1, 0, and this value is 0, 1. Now this value became minus 1, 0. So where's minus 1, 0? It is here. And this value became 0, stay the same. So how is that possible? It is only possible if you do a reflection on your y-axis, because only then this value will become this value and this value will be the same. Okay, so you have determined that this is simply a reflection on the y-axis, and that is your answer for question part 4. Now for part B, what do we have? We have a few vectors here: PQ, PR, and QU, and PS. Now given that R lies on PQ, find the value of H. So R, where's R? So we have PQ is here, PR is here. So what does it mean? You have to form an equation of that. So let me write this down again. For example, I will write down one thing here. So for part B, 1, we have PQ is equal to 3 minus 9, and PR is equal to H minus 6. Okay, so we know what? We know that R lies on PQ. So if that's the case, we can always write an equation. It is that PQ is a multiple of PR, if that's the case. So we can form that equation. So now we have 3, 9 is equal to M times H6. This will simplify to 3 equal to HM, that is your first equation, and you will have minus 9 is equal to minus 6M, that is your number 2. From this, M have to be 3 over 2. From this, you can find H. H has to be 3 divided by 3 over 2. That will be value of 2. You can check 3 divided by 3 over 2. That will be 2. So H is the value of 2. Now part 2, we have to express PU as a column vector. So PU is this one. So if you observe, you will have P going to Q. So this is P, Q, and then Q going to U. So we can find that easily. So PU is equal to PQ plus QU. So let's write this down. So part 2. So PU is equal to PQ plus QU. So here you go. PQ is given by 3 minus 9, and QU is given by 7, 2. That will be 10 and minus 7. And this is your answer for part 2. Now for part 3, we have, given that U is a midpoint of QS, find the value of K. So U is the midpoint of QS. So Q, here we have PS, so we have another line, PS will be in this direction. That will be S here. So if you observe, U will be the midpoint of this line, right? U is the midpoint of QS. Find the value of K. So PS has been given to you by 17 and K. Okay. So first, how do you find Q? You have QU already. QU is given to you by 7, 2. But also, US have to be the same value because it is the midpoint of this line. So US has to be 7, 8. Right? So from this, you realize that QS has to be what? So let's write this down. Based on the diagram, you have realized that for part number 3, you have realized that QS is equal to 14, 4. Now, how do you find PS? According to the diagram, PS can be found by PQ and plus QS. So PQ is given to you by 3 minus 9 plus QS is 14 and 4. If you add those two, you will have 17, and this will be minus 5. Now compare with the actual value given to you, 17K. K will be minus 5. So K is minus 5 is your value for that question. So this is the last question of this paper. I hope that was helpful, and as always, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.